Hi guys, I'm Claire from the Kitschy Kitchen and this is 10 Second Living, and today I'm going to talk to you about baking with eggs. And I thought the easiest way to sort of show an example of this was actually to bake 3 cakes, all the same recipe but with different amounts of eggs. So this is my control, this is my base recipe. So this is a cake, it was baked with basically 3 eggs, so this makes 2 cakes. This is like 1.5 eggs right here. This is only made with 1 egg, so it has a little bit less egg in it. And this one is made with 2 eggs, so it has extra egg in it. So for our control, I'm just gonna pull out a slice and you can see. This is what the ideal butter cake looks like. So it has a really nice even crumb. If I touch it, it's really moist. It's not too high, it's all kind of even. And you can just see that it's sort of formed really uniformly. It looks really nice. And now moving on to our guy that has a little too little egg, so it doesn't have enough egg in it. So you can see this looks a little bit drier, it feels drier, and the crumb is more compact, so it's a little bit denser and a little heavier as well. And here's our guy with a little too much egg in it. It's really spongy. You can see it's just this giant, it's risen way higher than the other ones. This one's still moist. I mean, this will still taste fine, but you can just see that there's larger bubbles in the crumb structure and it's just risen a lot higher. And it kind of is a little bit spongier. So what this is meant to sort of make an example of is the idea of baking with eggs and what sort of the proper amount of eggs are. And to understand that, you need to understand what eggs actually do in the recipe. So eggs provide 3 core things. First, they bind. So they really sort of bring the whole batter together. They hold everything together. And that's because of the protein in the egg whites. Secondly, they provide lift. So when you bake something with eggs, it sort of adds a little bit of a pop to it. So that's why, for instance, our extra egg here is a lot spongier and a lot higher as well. And then thirdly, the yolk provides richness and moisture. So if you're using a lot of egg yolks, you're gonna get something that's really dense, really rich. And so what's kind of happened here is you can see in the one that doesn't have enough egg, it's gotten a little flat and sort of tired. It doesn't have that lift that the eggs provide. It doesn't have that same moisture content that the eggs provide. So it's gonna be a little drier, a little more crumbly, and it's just gonna have a sort of heavier texture. The one that has too many eggs, it lifted a little too high, and then also what happens is it takes on a spongy, rubbery texture. It's kind of funny, if you ever do bake with way too many eggs, it'll almost feel like you could bounce the cake off the floor. It gets really spongy and really rubbery. So sort of dry in its own way, but mostly it just has a very odd texture. If you want something that's moist with a small crumb and the perfect amount of lift, you want to use the right amount of eggs, so that is what this one is doing here. Well, I hope this kind of clarified things for you. It certainly was fun for me to sort of test it out and see what happens, but that's sort of the basis of how you work with eggs and why it's so important to make sure to use the right amount when you're baking. For more ideas like this one, check out my blog, thekitschykitchen.com.